Yeah, well, we just listened to Brother Michael's presentation, the significance of Feast of Trumpets and all the things that the trumpets were for, the silver trumpets. They called them to assemblies and camps and to war. And they were blown at new moon days, and they are for a memorial. And we're not that far from Feast of Trumpets here. For us, it'll be in a couple weeks. So we have a nice group of people here. Anybody have any comments about Feast of Trumpets or anything that Brother Michael presented in his that recording that we just listened to and watched?
The Jewish tradition about the Feast of Trumpets is also the beginning of the new year. Can I hear some comments about what they think about why there are 2 New Years?
Well, we did quite a few YouTubes about that, why Feast of Trumpets is not Rosh Hashanah, because Rosh Hashanah is a traditional Jewish holiday, beginning the year in the fall. And our Bible says in Exodus 12:1 that this is the beginning of months for you, this is the beginning of your year, and that was at the Passover time. So that Rosh Hashanah, that is a tradition in the Jews, that is not what it was called. In the Bible, it was called Yom Teruah. And it is a memorial, but Jewish people have added Rosh Hashanah and beginning a year then, their fiscal year or whatever, but the year does not begin then, it begins in the spring. As Brother Gabriel presented a few weeks ago about Exodus 12:1. Are you have any comments about? Okay.
Well, I have a comment. I just like to say there's got to be one beginning of the year. You can't have two. So you got to decide if you're going to go with the Torah or you're going to go with the traditions of. I guess it came from the rabbis. I don't know, but if it says. If Moses says that the head of the year was at Aviv, then that's what it is. There's not two. A year begins once, and it ends once. That's my thoughts.
I would like to add something. I don't know why this feast is not seen and was nailed to the cross, because reading the Bible, you don't have any statement that the feasts are nailed to the cross. It's just an interpretation, it's not a fact, just a comfortable view of the modern Christian church. But I can tell you that from the business perspective, when many years ago, when I ran a logistic company, the Feast of Trumpets will mark a major impact in the logistics across United States. So will be a major shutdown in the business all across. Why? Because Jewish community will celebrate the Feast of Trumpets, which is so visible, so real, so coming from the Creator himself, and the modern church is still refusing to see it. That would be my comment.
I thought here. Yeah. I thought a question. You hearing me, Barbie?
Not very. Let me turn my speaker up. Go ahead. Yes, okay. Go ahead, Hyacinth.
Okay, I get to understand now that Feast of Trumpet is not a shofar that is blown, but a silver trumpet. Am I correct?
Well, that's what Brother Michael presented. Yeah, it was silver trumpets.
So what if we don't have a silver trumpet? What could we use?
And it was all one piece. I don't think we have anything silver that's all one piece that's a trumpet, just like they had. But we'll be blowing we'll blow the shofars or whatever we have.
Okay, thank you. So we'll blow the shofar for our Feast of Trumpets once there is not a silver trumpet. Because I know there are some musical instrument that is trumpet. Some of them might look silver or some of them might look goldish. So I was just wondering if any of those could substitute.
Well, we're not in the land. We're not where Israel was. We don't have the things. We can't do all the feasts like they did, right?
Okay. Okay, Barbie, thank you.
And you're welcome. Hi, that's me, but that's me talking. But I just wanted to address this. We did a whole YouTube about that the feasts were not done away with. What was actually nailed to the cross? Well, this is the verse that the church uses because our church didn't believe in the feast. It's Colossians 2:14. It doesn't say that the feasts were nailed to the cross. It says, Colossians 2:14, blotting out of the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross. And then in the King James here that I have, it's the certificate, the handwriting of requirements is a certificate of debt that is against us. That's what was nailed to the cross. And we were taught that the feasts were nailed to the cross. But it's our certificate of debt. We don't owe any debt for our sins. That's what's nailed to the cross. And Paul kept the feast. The disciples kept the feast. There's many, many verses in the New Testament showing that the feasts weren't done away with. And that's why they were all gathered together for Pentecost. They were still keeping the feast. And they kept the Passover afterwards and everything. Any comments about that? I'll go try to find that YouTube that we have. Any comments about the feast and what we were taught?
Also, Barb, it states in Daniel that he caused the sacrifice and oblation to cease. So to me, that also was nailed to the cross because he is our Passover lamb. And so all the rest to me are no more animal sacrifices or anything like that. They were done away with.
The feast also is actually a different name for Sabbath. So it's a yearly Sabbath. And the Sabbaths are not done away, according to the Bible, as far as I understood it. So it is part of the moral law.
Yeah, I'd just like to say something real quick. This is Appa here. So I was in agreement with the brother that talked earlier. He says there's only one beginning of the year. And it says very clearly about Passover in the month of Abib. But what Abby is emphasizing is that it talks about that feast being the Feast of Ingathering at the year's end. So we know that with every end, there's a new beginning. And it's the beginning of the winter. It's fall moving into winter time, and it's the last harvest. So with every end, there's a beginning. So it's the beginning of a different season. So I just wanted to emphasize that point.
Yeah, thank you, Appa. Yeah, so there's an end. And it's exciting to me when we have trumpets, we know what's going to happen. The dead and Messiah are going to rise. You know, it's 1 Corinthians 15. We heard about that, how we're all going to be changed. But when we hear the trumpet, 1 Thessalonians 4:16, for Yeshua himself shall descend from heaven with a shout and with the voice of the archangel and with the trump of Yah, and the dead and Messiah will rise first. And it's the beginning of our joyful wedding feast with Yeshua. Tabernacles is our wedding feast with Yeshua, and the trumpet's going to sound. The second coming, it's the most exciting time that's not fulfilled yet, where Yeshua has fulfilled all the first spring feasts, and the fall feasts are yet to be seen. It's a new beginning, yes.
If I get a moment to...
Yeah, Dennis has a comment.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. This will take a few minutes, so try to be patient, okay? And no, I don't know how to sugarcoat stuff. I probably never have, and I probably never will, because I like to just tell people right up front, my Father in heaven loves you as much as he loves me, and I want you to be my neighbor in the new earth, and I want to see you in heaven. How do you like that? And you know what? I'm talking to people that are profane and people that don't even know Yahweh yet. They don't know Yeshua Messiah yet. What if we don't sound off like a trumpet? How are they ever going to know? When I was in the Army, we always had a morning call. It was called revelry, okay? And they always played a trumpet blasting. They turned the volume way up, and you knew it was time to go out and be in formation and be ready for battle. It wasn't just an exercise that was futile. It was a training. In the Army, if you can't get brainwashed, it's because there's no pulse in your veins. And they would call us to revelry every morning, and especially in basic training, you were taught and you had to learn. You didn't have any choices, you know? And so when we hear the call to get ready, because I am definitely persuaded that we are the final generation, and that this whole plan of salvation will be accomplished. And like the gentleman, the brother read in Revelation chapter 11, verse 18, I will destroy those who are destroying the earth. Now they may think those are just words and it's just ink on a page, but we know that that's from heaven above in his firmament, and he will do what he has said that he will do. It's going to be a done deal. So if we don't hear this trumpet sound, if we don't get it, and if we don't understand it, it's our own shortcoming. We have to pray for people, even those who you may think hate you, pray for them anyway. And if it's a total stranger like Dwayne was, I said, sure, Dwayne, I'll give you a ride home. He was stranded. He needed a ride home. It was about a 20-mile drive. We took him home, and on the way, I introduced him to Yahweh Elohim and Yeshua Messiah, Prince Emmanuel. And I let him know that we don't belong to any corporate money-grabbing church. We belong to our Father in heaven. We belong to the gospel, and we're here to be a blessing to others. And if you pray that prayer and that trumpet goes off in your brain and you realize today I need to live as one who knows about the trumpets and to get ready, because this thing ain't going back. Everybody wants everything to be normal, whatever that was. No, there is no normal no more. There is what's been prophesied and what is coming, and we may as well just face up to it. And my attitude is, it's a done deal, Father in heaven. Consume me with your Holy Spirit, Ruach. That's all I got to say. Amen.
Oh, hallelujah. Thank you, brother. It's so encouraging to hear you and hear how close we are. And we know Matthew 24, with all the signs going around us, that He's near, even at the doors, and we will hear the trumpet. Maybe some won't hear it, but we've been trained by revelry. We've been trained every year. That's what the feasts are. They're training us for things in heaven, the way it will be. You know, Zechariah 14 talks about going up in the new earth for tabernacles. So just as we have new moon and Sabbaths in the new earth, we will be having tabernacles, feast days. Any thoughts about our brother Dennis? We're so excited. It's just wonderful to hear your testimony.
Well, I just wish that we can gather all of us here, in one place. That'll be wonderful. But I know.
Yeah. It will someday soon. We'll all be together, and that's what feasts are for. We're going to get together with as many as we can to be physically together. As the day approaches, we're to assemble together more as we see the day approaching. It just makes you homesick for heaven and homesick for the new earth, for us all to be together.
Well, I think there's a connection with the Feast of Trumpets and the mention of the trumpets through Revelation, Book of Revelation. So I think
right, the seven trumpets.
That might bring a clue into the timeline. You hear the trumpets sound in succession. I wouldn't be at all surprised if those land on the days of the Feast of Trumpets. The following events commence at the same time.
The seven trumpets are yet future, and they are going to happen before the seven plagues, and they're very similar to the plagues, but the first four are before we're all sealed. But they're very interesting, and they start in Revelation 8. So the church I came from thought that the trumpets were all completed already 150, 200 years ago. But no, they're yet future. So, yeah, trumpets, yes. Thank you, Jason, for bringing that up. The trumpets of Revelation 8 and 9.
Yeah, so if
They're
there's seven trumpets, we could be looking at a span of 7 years where you have each event happen after the trumpet blast would be, after the Feast of Trumpets. You have, the first trumpet, the second trumpet. Could be a space of 7 years.
Well, I'm hoping it's not going to be that long. We know one of the trumpets is for 5 months long. I think that's the fifth or sixth one. But hopefully the end times will be much shorter. Go ahead, Gabriel. Are you going to say something?
Yeah, I was thinking of the Protestant movement. When I was 16, I studied a great controversy book, about 2 times in a month. So I was very excited about what the Protestant movement achieved. And
right.
My understanding was that this movement intended to separate itself from the Roman Catholic Church, and all their decisions, all their thinking would be pure biblical. This happened to a certain point, and then the Protestant movement started to be in agreement with the Catholic Church. And we are talking the feast days, like you emphasize about the trumpets, our church, Seventh-day Adventist Church gives the very wrong interpretation of these events. So how come that in these times Protestant movements start to agree again with Catholicism? And why Protestant movement, Protestant churches, they start to give the same interpretations? It's amazing. That, to me, that's a very sign of the very end. This is confusion. So in 1540, let's say 1600, the Protestants, they decide to read the Bible and only the Bible, to see the Creator words. And now, in 2022, we agree on almost everything what they decide. I mean the Catholic Church. So that's a sign of confusion. That's a sign of Babylonian thinking. That's a sign of the end. That's a sign that we are not doing the right thing as a Protestant movement, and we sustain that. Because like we discussed earlier, is no mention, the Bible doesn't mention anywhere that the feast they were nailed to the cross. So where is this interpretation coming from? From the Catholic Church. Yeah,
well, I would say also, Gabriel, that I have lots of information about the Catholic Church through subversion, actually, infiltrating their own people into the Protestant seminaries and educational institutions. It's gone much farther than that. But they were. I got a testimony, on video, from a few people that talked about that, and one of the guys even said that they were going into seminary college, changing their name, then going into seminary college and getting into a Protestant church when they were.
What is confusing for me? When I talk to people and I share the Sabbath concept based on the Creator's calendar, they defend Catholicism. They defend the Gregorian calendar without even knowing the facts. They just enter into a defense mode and they start to argue. And we were educated as Protestants to search, to be willing to open the scriptures, pray, and if it's in the scripture, is the truth. But today, the Protestant has different mentality. He is defending Catholicism without knowing, and that's very strange. It's painful. It's painful to see that. I mean, how can we bring again into people's mind the concept of biblical truth? Because now we have the concept of interpretation of the truth. So we know, everybody knows, we are modern, we don't read anymore, we are willing to listen to all kind of podcasts and stuff, but we no longer study the Bible, and we easily accept what other people think about the Bible. And I think our mission here as a group is also to place a comment, to remind people that we need to study the Bible under the Ruach HaKodesh presence. That's the only option to continue with the truth. Otherwise, we're going to be engulfed by the Babylonian thinking. That means confusion.
Yeah, and to be directed by God's law and his Sabbaths and feasts.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody's comment. I'm going to just, I wanted to record this today for everybody that's out there that listen to the YouTube channel. They don't have fellowship groups, so that they can hear some of your comments and be part of us today. But I'm going to close this recording part because we're ending our time of fellowship.